Hi, today I'm talking about finding film cameras. If you're getting into film and want to use a film camera, where do you buy one? Where do you find one? That is what I hope to cover today. The first place you might find a camera might seem obvious, but you might have forgotten about it. Friends and relatives. You will be amazed that once you talk about your interest in film cameras and the fact you would like to have a go with a proper camera, what I call a proper camera, you could very well find a relative or friend saying, "Oh, I've got this, would you like it?" And you might be actually gifted a camera. Over the years, and I've been buying cameras for over 40 years, but some of the nicest and most interesting cameras I've actually been given. And sometimes those cameras might have a real story, that the person might have bought it overseas, or that their relative bought it for such a use. And there's a personal story with this camera. Now, obviously you can't be picky, and you can't, because of the condition of the camera, it could vary. But the first stop, I would say, are friends and family, and as I said, you might be amazed what you are gifted. The second place is camera shops, and once upon a time every high street had a camera shop. These are a lot rarer now, and obviously because of the problems with the high street and the camera shops turned into digital shops, but you will still find in some camera shops a shelf of film cameras, and often these are in very good condition. They sometimes have a guarantee with them, and you might be surprised with what you find. Plus, often the storekeeper or assistant will have a very good knowledge of photography and of the camera and be able to help your need. Beside these sort of high street shops, there are a number of really high quality specialist shops. I'm talking from the UK, but other countries have shops which are specialist film camera shops. In the UK, London has Aperture and Mr. CAD, and in Manchester there's something called the Real Camera Company. There's a wonderful camera shop in Brighton that specialises in film cameras. These shops, again, expect to pay at the high end, but remember the camera has often been checked out. They might have had expense on servicing the camera. The camera from these shops will often come with a 6 months guarantee, a warranty, so if there is a problem with the camera you can take it back. Plus there's the specialism in the shop. You might find a lot more detail you didn't know. They might even know some history about the camera. A specialist shop is a good place to go, particularly if you have a certain specific need or want of the camera. That's another thing about buying cameras. You either go, I think, thinking, right, I want a specific camera, or you are just always slightly looking around for cameras and you find interesting things. But camera shops are a good place to go and purchase. The third venue I'm going to talk about is often forgotten, and I've watched a few videos about buying cameras and I don't think people talk about these places, and I'm talking about camera fairs. Camera fairs are specialist fairs, a bit like antique fairs, but just selling photographic products. I do have a vested interest here. I'm currently chairman of something called Photographica, which is an enormous London fair which happens once a year. Unfortunately, due to COVID this year, we've been unable to run the fair. But the Photographica fair has up to 100 stall holders, and it's an incredibly good place to find a camera. You might think because you've got lots of specialists there that you are less likely to find a bargain, but because you've got so much competition in the fair, I would say you've got more of a chance. Plus, in a lot of camera fairs you will have obviously the big dealers, but you will also have people who are perhaps selling off a collection or selling on behalf of a relative or just downsizing. So You get a complete range at these camera fairs. As I said, there's Photographica. There's a great fair in Wolverhampton run by a guy called Russell Friend. There's George, who runs them around the M25 group around London. Frome Camera Fair in Frome in the rest of England happens twice a year. You can often find details obviously on the web. They advertise often in Amateur Photographer, and on the Photographic Collectors Club website there's a little calendar of photographic fairs done by Wally Morley. So that's a good place to look out for photography fair, cameras fairs. Antique fairs and vintage fairs can be a source for cameras as well. However, in these fairs you might not get the specialist, and sometimes I have found, and I've bought and sold at antique and vintage fairs, but you do find sometimes people put slightly higher prices on, although there's often room for negotiation with the store holder. You might not get the complete range you get in a camera fair, but they are definitely places to consider. I talked about shops previously, but I'm going to include in this fair section charity shops. Charity shops used to be an absolute treasure trove for second-hand cameras. What's good for the charity shop is they understand this now, and they often have an expert who knows about cameras that check the cameras as they come in. And during the last few years, the prices in charity shops can be quite high. I mean, the charities often obviously has to raise money, and I can completely appreciate that they need to get a market value for the camera, but from a buyer point of view this is sometimes a bit limiting. But do look out for charity shops, and you might find, when you're looking out for charity shops, you're often looking for condition for camera. Does it work? Has it got a clean lens? Has it got any detail with it? Etc. Okay, so charity shops is something you might look at. You might think it's a bit down market, but car boot sales can be great for camera hunting. The problem with camera hunting on car boot sales is you will often find other people trying to find bargains, and everyone wants to pay nothing at a car boot sale. The great thing about a car boot sale is being able to, and this could change due to COVID, but the great thing about car boot sales was the fact you could always handle cameras and you could talk to the store holder. I often find at car boot sales the condition of the camera might be not as nice as you might want, and sometimes because the person has a personal connection with the camera, they have a slightly inflated price for the camera. However, you can still get an absolute bargain from a car boot sale, and the lovely thing I like about car boot sales is you can actually handle the camera, look at it, discuss it. And there's a great sort of, if you go to a car boot sale which is huge, and you never know what you might find, and you might find something moderately rare. I do know of people who have found the most incredibly rare cameras at a car boot sale. I've never found something really rare, but I have found some interesting cameras and some nice cameras and some cameras I continue to use today. So a car boot sale can be a good place to buy a camera. Prices, I would always ask the price. It's interesting when you might then get a response, well, what are you prepared to offer? And the danger, if you go down too low, you're basically insulting the store holder. So I would, if I'm asked for a price, I would say a price I'm willing to buy the camera for. And then there's often the old thing of then negotiating. So be aware that the store holder isn't necessarily going to go for your price, and you are probably going to go for something in the middle or negotiate. Obviously with a car boot sale you can't take the camera back, so that is a bit of a drawback. but it's a fun place to buy. If I'm buying from a car boot sale, I have to think to myself, I've got no comeback here. Whatever I buy, I'm going to have to be prepared that there could be a loss if the camera really doesn't work or I can't use anything from that camera. But car boot sales can be enormous fun. eBay. Some people have little panics about eBay. I have bought and sold on eBay for the last 16 years, and in that time I have only ever returned personally one camera. The great thing about buying on eBay is the eBay return policy, and eBay have this policy that if something is advertised as working and it's not working, you can return that camera and you will get your money back and you won't have to pay for the postage. Now, some people will still advertise that they don't take returns, so you have to be aware of that. And one of the big things about eBay is the range of people selling. So you will have someone decluttering a house who will know nothing about a camera and will put it on eBay. And you will have someone else who's a really experienced camera dealer also putting things on eBay. And you have the international aspect, you have cameras from all around the world and dealers around the world. So eBay is an enormous marketplace, and of collectibles with cameras, eBay is, I would say, the largest market. You get some sellers obviously on Amazon and on Etsy, but eBay has become the home of vintage and film cameras. When looking for a camera, I think looking at the photographs is incredibly important. Looking at the description, you are looking for clean lenses, you are looking for that word no fungus. Fungus is a little thing that happens in the lens. It's a type of mould, or it is fungus, and you want to avoid it because it's very difficult to get rid of it. You want working shutter, you want to know that the batteries, that if it has a meter, that the meter works, that the camera will rewind. You need to look at the descriptions very carefully. If the description's not there, you have to be prepared to take the risk. Key thing is, do you buy from auctions or do you buy now prices? As a dealer, I often put things on as a buy now, and I try to put things at a reasonable price. Obviously, I want to cover my costs and make something, but I know that if I charge too much, I just won't sell the camera, and I want people to enjoy photography as well. So I find selling cameras a reasonable buy now price is popular with people, and a lot of people want not to go through that auction. They want to be able to buy, they know what film camera they want, and they want to buy now. So buy it now has a lot to be said for it. Auctions are great fun, and you can get a really good buy in an auction. You can't always be there to bid at the last moment, so you will often want to put a bid in. The problem, if you put in exactly what you would like to pay, then someone can just bid a little bit over that. So my personal advice would be to put what you are prepared to pay up to and take it from there. Okay. A recent example, I was looking for a Nikon F80 and I saw this camera and I put on £30 and was the winning bid, and then someone put 31 and was the leading bid, and I really wanted this camera and I was prepared to pay up to 60, but I didn't really want to pay 60 because there was a slight risk that the camera wasn't working. It was advertised as a no return. So in a weak moment I did put maximum bid of 60. I got it for 42, which was absolutely fine, and it turned out to be a working camera. So you've got to be a bit disciplined in where you put your bid if it's an auction. But I would have no hesitation at buying from eBay. You can occasionally get little issues, but eBay is so established now that they often will really help you work out those issues. The last place I'm going to talk about buying cameras is again something you might not have thought of, and that is local auction houses, provincial auction houses. They have what are called general sales, and often in these general sales are lots of cameras, and these cameras can range from point and shoot cameras to really high quality things like Rolleiflex and Leicas. A lot of these auctions are online, and if you are buying from auction, be prepared that obviously there's no guarantee. There's not a lot of, if something goes, if you get the camera and are unhappy with it, it's sort of buyer beware, so you are stuck with that camera. And there is a commission between 50, it can be between 10 and it can be as high as 30%. So be very careful that you understand what the commission is. Some of these, a lot of the auction houses now have online bidding, but the online bidding is an even higher commission. Often you can do what is called a commission bid, so you put in a bid before the auction, and that is a left bid, and again you might not actually get the camera, but you might, but that is a method that you might want to use. So those are general auctions, but there are certain auctions like Flint and SAS, Auctions of Newbury, who do specialist camera auctions, and they might have 4 or 5 a year. They sometimes do high quality camera auctions, or sometimes do SAS used to call them express auctions. You will get the camera dealers buying from here, and you might think, oh, am I going to get a good deal if there's all these other people? But in my experience, you can get a very good deal from these auctions. If possible, you need to go and look beforehand, but there's often an online catalogue. So auctions are another way of buying film cameras. I hope that's helped. There's so many ways of buying film cameras, and experience helps enormously. It's a bit of an adventure. I wish you luck, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you.